Academy is the country's foremost school for museum learning. And that means the experiences our students have here, they can reach places that other schools just can't, with our university links, with our partnerships with the museum sector and the cultural sector. We use museum learning to help our students achieve. And by that I mean help them in their studies and in their academic success, in their future careers, but also to help our students to be happy and to achieve a sense of fulfilment through their adult life. We use museum objects, we use museum people, museum skills and knowledge to really enrich the curriculum and make learning come to life for our children and young people here at the Secondary Academy. I believe that museum learning adds context through a greater knowledge of history and geography, so they can understand an object through its place in time, through its political or its social or personal meaning. But museum learning can also involve using the senses. So when our students are exploring objects, that is Victorian baby booties here, they're using their sense of touch and their sense of sight. They can look in detail at the textures, and they can explore those objects in a way that really brings the subject to life. So we're going to look at Key Stage 3 to start, thinking about our Year 7s and our Year 8s. No one year is the same. Our projects respond and change. So what I'm going to give you is a little example of what the students might experience on a typical journey through the Learning Academy. So with Year 7s, we might look at communication in science, for example, and how our museum sector, which communicates stories around global change, how that can help our students with their own scientific communication. Or we might use objects like this, which is a sieve made out of a calabash, and we use this with our Year 8 students, thinking about geography and the impact of ecotourism and the relevance of buying locally and what that actually means for local communities. Moving through into Year 9, where the students look at contemporary design and particularly design around chairs. We've got a long-term partnership with the Crafts Council. In fact, last year we had objects from the Crafts Council in our exhibition space, so the students were able to see really cutting-edge design. Moving through into Year 10, we helped our students think more specifically about their GCSEs and help them get to grips with their subjects in a bit more detail to give a bit more challenge. An example of this is the work we do with drama, where the students have different case studies from some of our archive partners about real people's lives and things they experienced in the past. This helps them with their unit on devising, so they can go on to find deeper meaning and understand their characters better when they're producing that piece with their GCSEs. For English, our students look at some of our Victorian objects and use that to understand Christmas Carol. How does a better knowledge of what the period was like shape their understanding of the text? And how does their knowledge about the objects shape their understanding of the language that was used in that novel? Another example from Year 10 is the work that we do with business, where the students have a case study about Horlicks that used to be produced locally in Slough and now has a global industry in India. How does this understanding of history and the history specifically of the Horlicks industry contribute to a better knowledge of global branding and what that means to today's business for Horlicks production? We also work quite a lot with business looking at different modes of work and manufacturing and production to help them get to grips with that subject in a bit more depth. Moving through to the A-level syllabus, we use our museum learning links to provide additional links to universities to give our students a really challenging experience, so that the museum examples give a much greater depth to their studies. For example, we look at the Darfur famine from the 1770s with economics. How does a greater knowledge of the multinationals and their role within that famine contribute to a better understanding for our students and better able to interrogate the links between multinationals and welfare? And one of our museum learning examples. And I have another object here, which is Astronaut Barbie, and she's something that we've used with our sociology students, looking at how childhood and toys of childhood have changed through time, and how toys shape gender identity and the gender roles that we assign children at a very young age. So all the way through, from Year 7 right through to Year 13, we use museum objects to deepen knowledge of subjects. We also use museum learning to help emphasise the links between subjects. We have here a piece of trench art from the First World War. How does a knowledge of ammunition, and rates of fire, help that link between maths and history. How do mathematical questions help us understand the challenges in history in more detail? So if you'd like to know more about museum learning, do drop the Museum Learning team a line. You can reach us on email at museum@langleyacademy.org. Thank you.